The darker it gets, the more you see. If this message found you, it's for you. When the lights go out. There comes a moment on every awakened path when the light dims. Not because the universe has abandoned you. Not because you have lost your way, but because the world around you becomes darker. The noise thickens. Confusion spreads. People begin acting from fear, projection, and distortion. The atmosphere of the collective grows heavier. And yet, something unusual happens to you. Where others panic, your perception sharpens. Where others lose direction, your intuition grows louder. Where others see chaos, you begin to notice patterns. The darker it gets, the more you see. Darkness was never meant to blind the awakened. Darkness was meant to train their vision. Just as the eyes adjust to night and begin seeing shapes invisible in daylight, the soul learns to perceive truth where others see only shadow. The chosen do not lose sight when darkness falls. They develop night vision of the spirit. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below so we know you're here and connected to Source. The gift of spiritual night vision. In the physical world, the eyes must adjust when light fades. At first, everything appears unclear. The outlines blur. The world becomes uncertain. But after a few moments of patience, the pupils widen. Shapes return. Movement becomes visible again. The same process happens in the spiritual life. When the familiar lights of certainty disappear, when relationships shift, structures collapse, and illusions dissolve, you may initially feel disoriented. But the awakened do not remain blind. They adapt. Instead of relying on the outer world to illuminate truth, they develop inner perception. You begin sensing energy behind words. You notice patterns others ignore. You feel intentions long before actions reveal them. This is not paranoia. This is perception evolving. The darker the environment becomes, the more your inner sight activates. Darkness does not remove your guidance. It refines it. Seeing without seeing. The chosen eventually experience something strange. They begin to know things before they are explained. A situation may look calm on the surface, but something inside you whispers that something is off. A person may speak kindly, but your spirit feels tension beneath the words. You walk into a room and immediately understand the emotional landscape. This is not imagination. This is intuition, learning to read frequencies rather than appearances. The outer world communicates through images and language. The inner world communicates through energy and resonance. When darkness increases, appearances become unreliable. But energy cannot hide for long. The chosen learn to see with a deeper instrument. They see without seeing. They know without knowing. And this knowing becomes a compass when logic alone cannot guide you. Darkness as a teacher. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid darkness. They fear difficulty, uncertainty, conflict, and shadow. But the chosen eventually realize something profound. Darkness is not always the enemy. Darkness is often a teacher. It shows you where illusions lived. It exposes what light once concealed. It reveals hidden motives, unconscious fears, unspoken truths, fragile structures pretending to be stable. The bright daylight of comfort can hide many things, but when darkness falls, outlines sharpen. You see who people really are. You see what systems truly value. You see what inside yourself still requires healing. And this clarity, though uncomfortable at first, becomes liberating, because truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. The balance of light and shadow. The awakened path is not about choosing light while denying darkness. It is about learning to move through both. Light teaches expansion. Darkness teaches depth. Light inspires vision. Darkness sharpens discernment. Light invites growth. Darkness demands maturity. Without light, the soul may become lost. Without darkness, the soul may remain naive. The chosen walk between both realms. They carry compassion from the light and clarity from the shadow. They do not pretend darkness does not exist. They simply refuse to become consumed by it. Because they understand something powerful. The shadow does not erase the light. It reveals where the light must grow stronger. Projection and the strengthening of perception. As your awareness grows, something else begins to happen. People may project their own unresolved darkness toward you. Criticism, misunderstanding, judgment, suspicion. At first, this may feel painful, but eventually, you recognize the pattern. Projection often reveals more about the one projecting than the one receiving. Those who have not faced their own shadows sometimes react strongly to those who have, because your clarity reflects what they avoid seeing in themselves. Yet even these encounters serve a purpose. Every projection teaches you discernment. You learn when to respond and when to remain silent. You learn when to engage and when to step back. You learn that not every battle requires participation. Darkness projected toward you does not weaken your sight. It trains it. Intuition as a guiding light. The more darkness you navigate consciously, the more your intuition strengthens. It becomes less like a faint whisper and more like a steady signal. You feel nudges guiding you towards certain places. You sense when to pause, when to speak, when to wait. Intuition rarely shouts. It communicates quietly through sudden clarity, physical sensations, subtle emotional shifts, repeated signs, and the chosen learn to trust these signals, not blindly, but respectfully, because intuition often sees what logic cannot yet explain. In dark seasons especially, intuition becomes a lantern, not illuminating the entire road, but revealing the next step, and often that is enough. The strength, hidden in shadow. Every soul carries shadow, parts shaped by pain, survival, memory, and fear. Ignoring these parts does not make them disappear, but meeting them consciously transforms them. When you sit with your shadow, when you allow yourself to understand your anger, grief, disappointment, and vulnerability, you reclaim energy that was once trapped there. This is why shadow work is so powerful. It turns unconscious patterns into conscious choices. It turns buried emotion into wisdom. It turns wounds into compassion. And once you integrate these hidden aspects of yourself, your vision expands. Because the more of yourself you are willing to see, the more clearly you see the world. Walking through darkness without becoming it. There is a difference between recognizing darkness and becoming it. The chosen do not pretend darkness does not exist, but they refuse to let it define their nature. They walk through difficult environments without absorbing them. They witness suffering without abandoning compassion. They acknowledge shadow without feeding it. This requires discipline. It requires remembering that your awareness is not your enemy. It is your tool. And tools can build as easily as they can destroy. The awakened learn to hold their clarity like a lantern. not to expose others unnecessarily, but to illuminate their own path. The quiet power of awareness. One of the greatest strengths of the awakened is quiet awareness. They do not always need to explain what they see. They do not always need to convince others. They understand that perception is not a competition. It is a responsibility. When the world grows darker, people often react with noise. Arguments increase. Voices grow louder, but the chosen often grow quieter, not out of fear, out of understanding, because wisdom rarely needs to shout. It observes, it waits, it acts precisely when needed, and this quiet awareness becomes a stabilizing force in chaotic times. When the darkness passes. Dark seasons never last forever. Just as night eventually gives way to dawn, periods of collective confusion and personal challenge eventually shift. But those who have learned to see in the dark emerge differently. They carry deeper intuition, stronger discernment, greater compassion, clearer boundaries. They no longer depend on perfect conditions to navigate life. They trust their perception. They trust their inner compass. And when the light returns, they realize something extraordinary. They are not the same person who entered the darkness. They are wiser, more grounded, more awake. The vision that cannot be taken. Chosen one. There will be moments in this lifetime when the lights around you begin to dim. Not the light of the sun, not the light of the stars, but the light of certainty. The structures people once trusted will tremble. The truths people once believed will fracture. The voices that once seemed confident will begin speaking from confusion. And in those moments, many will say, everything has become too dark to see. But you will know something different, because you have already walked through your own night. You have already sat with your shadow. You have already faced the silence that others run from. You have already felt the ground disappear beneath your old beliefs. And when you survived that inner darkness, something awakened inside you. A sight that does not depend on daylight. A knowing that does not require explanation. A quiet awareness that cannot be taught, only remembered. The darker it gets, the more you see. Because darkness was never meant to blind the awakened. Darkness was meant to train their perception. Just as the owl sees most clearly in the night, the awakened soul learns to perceive what daylight once concealed. In the quiet hours of uncertainty, your intuition sharpens. You begin noticing patterns hidden beneath chaos. You begin feeling the truth beneath people's words. You begin sensing the direction of the path before it becomes visible. This is not imagination. This is the ancient vision returning. Your ancestors walked with it. Your guides recognize it. Your spirit has carried it long before this lifetime. It is the sight that does not rely on eyes. The sight that reads energy before language. The sight that understands without needing proof. And once this vision awakens, it cannot be taken from you, because it does not belong to the outer world. It belongs to your consciousness. This is why the chosen cannot be easily deceived once they awaken, not because they know everything, but because they feel when something is not aligned with truth. You begin to sense distortion, the way a musician senses when a note is out of tune. You begin to feel the difference between manipulation and sincerity. You begin to recognize the quiet presence of wisdom, even in unexpected places. And this awareness becomes your lantern, not a blazing spotlight that reveals everything at once, but a steady glow that shows you exactly enough to take the next step. One step through the darkness, then another and another, until you realize something extraordinary. The night you once feared has become familiar terrain. You walk through it calmly, not because the darkness disappeared, but because you learned how to see within it. And as the world continues shifting, others may search frantically for light outside themselves. But you will remember where the true light lives. It lives in the awareness that watches. It lives in the intuition that whispers. It lives in the still center of your being that remains steady, no matter how turbulent the environment becomes. That center is your compass. That awareness is your protection. That vision is your inheritance. So when the night grows deeper, do not mistake it for defeat. It is initiation. When the world becomes uncertain, do not assume you are lost. You are being invited to trust a deeper guidance. And when others say they can no longer see, simply breathe. Let your perception widen. Let your awareness settle, because you are not meant to rely on borrowed light. You are meant to remember the light that lives within your own consciousness. The darker it gets, the more you see. And once this sight awakens, no shadow can take it from you, because it was never given by the world. It was always yours. Ancient One, we now ask you, have there been moments when your intuition quietly warned you about something before it became obvious? Or how has facing your own shadow helped you understand others with greater compassion and clarity? Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below so we know you're here and connected to Source.